Hey, what's up, y'all? My name's Chris Abbott, but all my friends just call me Abbo. And in this video, we're going to be walking you through a 7-part framework that helped a church of 80 grow to 150 in only 6 months. And what we're going to do is specifically show you how to attract new visitors, get them to come back again, and ultimately into your assimilation process so they can join your church. So let's dive into how to grow your church membership coming up. Hey, what's up, y'all? If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. This channel is specifically dedicated to helping pastors and church leaders be more effective in their online ministry. So what we're going to be doing today is kind of walking you through a strategy that I've helped thousands of churches use at this point. We've actually generated over 60,000 prayer requests and over 7,000 new visitors using this 7-step framework that we're going to break down. So let's dive into step-by-step exactly what you need to do in order to grow your church. All right, step number 1 is you want to run a targeted Facebook ad. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you've heard me talking about this quite a bit, but there's 2.7 billion people on Facebook and 1.8 billion log in every single day. Now, that makes Facebook the single largest missions field the church has ever seen. So it's simply too big to ignore. The reason we're going to run a Facebook ad instead of a boosted post is because with a Facebook ad, we can tweak the targeting a little bit more. It's a little bit more powerful, and it's just better at reaching people outside of our church, right? So you may have run boosted posts in the past, and there's nothing wrong with those, but a boosted post is not a Facebook ad, right? So they're two different things. The biggest way to know if you are running a Facebook ad or a boosted post is that if you posted something on your page and then clicked boost, this is a boosted post, right? Typically, sometimes Facebook will say, hey, this post is performing 80% better than all of your other posts. Why not put $20 behind it and show it to more people, right? Nothing wrong with that. That is a boosted post, and it's a great way to reach the people inside your church or the people that are familiar with your church. But if you want to reach people outside your church, a lot of the unchurched or the underchurched and people that don't know that you exist, the best way to do that is with a targeted Facebook ad. So all you have to do is go to facebook.com/adsmanager, and that's going to pull up a dashboard where you can create your first Facebook ad. They're pretty simple to do. In fact, you can do this in about 10 minutes. But what you want to do for this strategy is specifically create a messenger ad. So when you first pull up Facebook, they're going to give you a bunch of different objectives, right? There's a lot of things, a lot of different types of ads that you can run for reach or for engagement or for traffic. But specifically, we want to run a messages ad, because what we want to do is we want to send people from your Facebook ad into Facebook Messenger, where now we can have a one-on-one ministry conversation. So go to facebook.com/adsmanager, start a brand new ad, and click messages as the objective. All right, step number 2, Facebook Messenger. Now, I am a huge fan of Messenger because when you run an ad like this, instead of clicking on your ad and going to your website where now you have to worry about page load speed times or conversion rates, instead, we're actually going to keep people on Facebook. So when they click on the ad, they're going into Facebook Messenger. Now, it's important to note this is not your personal Facebook Messenger. This is actually your church Facebook Messenger, right? So it's actually going to come to the church's Messenger, and now we can have a one-on-one ministry conversation with every single person that is reaching out, right? So if in our Facebook ad, we created something, say specifically for prayer requests, right? And said, hey, how can I pray for you this week? When people click on that ad, they're going to go into Messenger and they're going to send you their prayer request. Well, now you can have a one-on-one ministry conversation inside of Messenger, and they never have to leave Facebook. This is really, really powerful, and you're going to be really, really excited about the results because, again, you're not having conversations in the comments, they're not going to your website, but you're having a one-on-one ministry conversation inside of Messenger. Step number 3, a chatbot. Now, honestly, you could do this without a chatbot, right? Especially if the word chatbot is super intimidating to you. I totally get it, right? It's kind of like the cloud back in the day, right? Where the cloud came out and you kept hearing like, oh, it's in the cloud, it's in the cloud. It's like, what the heck is the cloud, right? And nobody actually knew. That's kind of what chatbots are right now. Nobody really knows what it is. You've probably heard the term maybe, right? But don't really understand what it is. Well, it's basically kind of like a choose your own adventure text message. It's just predetermined sequences that you build into Facebook Messenger. So depending on what someone says inside of Messenger, Messenger will automatically send a predetermined answer that you've already pre-written, right? So it's pretty simple, and it's actually really, really easy to set up. You can actually just go to manychat.com and set up a free account and create your first chatbot. They've got phenomenal tutorial videos. I promise it sounds intimidating. It's really not that bad, but it's really easy to set up a chatbot. And now what happens is whenever someone clicks on your ad and goes into Facebook Messenger, now your chatbot is going to be chatting with them in real time, right? So there's no way for you to be able to chat with every single person in real time when it first happens, right? And so that's kind of the bummer. What if somebody comes in and they submit a prayer request, but you're on vacation or it's your Sabbath, right? Or you're taking the day off, spending the day with your family. You may not get to it within 24 to 48 hours, maybe even 72 hours in some cases. But the great thing is with a chatbot, they're basically having a conversation one-on-one back and forth in real time. Now, some people people will know that the sequences are automated, some people won't, but really nobody cares, right? This is just kind of part of technology. It's how the world works right now. And so what you can do is have a chatbot that has that conversation, and then you can promise to reach out personally as soon as you get a chance. All right, number 4, plan your visit. Now again, there are 2 different ways to do this. You can actually build this into the chatbot, which is what I like to do, or when you come back in and you're actually communicating with them after the chatbot is done, now you can actually just lead them into plan your visit, and you can ask them manually, hey, would you like to visit church on this Sunday? And if they say yes, then you can just manually ask them for their phone number and their email so that you can follow up with them and send them a little bit more information about the church. But again, I like building this into the chatbot. It just makes it seamless, a lot easier, and you can even set up a tag inside of ManyChat that tags all of your plan your visit. So now you know that all the people that you've prayed for, and you can have a prayer request tag, but you can also create a plan your visit tag for all the people that then went on to plan a visit and come to church this Sunday, so you can follow up with them. All right, now I have 3 more tips in this strategy, but before that, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel, right? If you're brand new or if you've been watching for a while, make sure to subscribe and hit that little bell notification. That way you get notified every single time we drop a new video. Okay, and number 5, the hosted visit. Now, some of the people that you've been praying for and having a conversation with inside of Messenger are simply just going to show up on Sunday, and that's okay. In fact, my wife always gives me a hard time, says, hey, I know you teach plan your visit to churches all over the world, but I would never plan a visit if I was going to church, right? Because just her personality, she would actually kind of, rather come in, kind of sit in the back, see how things are. She'd rather kind of check things out for a little while. And then after she checked out a few services, she might want to meet the pastor or meet a couple of people in the service. I'm the exact opposite. Every single time I go on vacation and we're looking for a church to visit, the first thing that I look for is plan your visit, right? Because I want to connect with somebody. I want them to show me around. I want to be able to ask questions. I just love meeting new people. And this is a great way to lower the barrier of entry for unchurched people. In fact, when we first started doing this at my church, we actually increased our first-time visitors by 42% the first month, 60% in the second month, 87% in the third month, and 113% in the fourth month. And while I actually thought it was going to be people like me, right? People who were churched, who were used to going to church, who were maybe new to the area or looking for a new church, I thought those were the people that were going to be signing up for Plan Your Visit. But what I actually found was it was mostly unchurched people. So when I talked to our Plan Your Visit coordinator, she told me that about 90% of the people who were signing up for Plan Your Visit were completely unchurched. As we started to talk about it, it made a lot of sense. It's okay, well, if these people are visiting a church for the first time, right? Maybe they haven't been to church in years, maybe they've never been to church, and they're deciding to visit for the very first time. It's pretty awkward, right? It's pretty intimidating showing up to a church where you don't know anybody, you don't know if they're going to judge you, you don't know if you're dressed right? There's so many different unknowns when you're visiting a church for the very first time, especially if you're not used to it. But Plan Your Visit lowers the barrier of entry, right? And with a hosted visit, now you can actually assign a host to meet them at the front door, show them around, save seats for them in service, introduce them to some key staff and leaders, and make sure that they have a great time the very first time they show up. All right, step number 6 is meet the pastor. Now, I actually found out about this from my friend Jim Wilkes at Journey Church, but 80% of people who meet the pastor on the first visit will come back for a second visit, right? So that number is way too big to ignore, right? 8 out of 10 people who meet the pastor on the first visit will come back for a second visit. So one of the most important things that you can do in this whole process is make sure that all of your guests have a chance to meet you as the pastor on the very first Sunday. So just make sure as you're training up your Plan Your Visit host that no matter what happens, they make sure to introduce that new guest to you at some point, right? So now depending on the church and depending on the flow of your service, you may do this a couple different ways, right? I've seen some churches where they'll have like a meet the pastor afterwards where the pastor can pray for you, or you can just ask them some questions, right? In an area off to the side of the stage or maybe in another room. I've seen some churches where they have like a meet the pastor or a pizza with the pastor after service, and you can literally have, lunch or some snacks and have a chance to kind of get to know the pastor a little bit. And then some churches don't have anything formal and they just have their Plan Your Visit host just make sure to find the pastor afterwards to introduce him, right? Because that might be kind of your flow. You don't have anything formal. You're just walking around talking to people, shaking hands, hugging necks, right? And so if that's the case, then just make sure that people find you and introduce you to all of the first-time guests, because 80% of people who meet the pastor on the first visit will come back for a second visit. All right, and finally, step number 7, one of my very favorite things, the Monday morning selfie video, right? Okay, so with this, it's pretty easy. All you're going to do is you're going to take the Connect cards from every single person who visited on Sunday, and you're going to text them a personalized selfie video. Now, this is really simple. You're literally just going to grab your phone and record a selfie video. Say, hey, John, what's up? It's Pastor Chris. Man, I just want to thank you and Susan so much for coming up to church yesterday. I had a great time getting to know you and your family. And so, man, I just wanted to thank you for coming yesterday and invite you back out next Sunday. We're doing it same time, same place, 10 o'clock. Can you make it? Now, when you do that, two things happen. Number one, if 80% of people who meet the pastor on the first visit come back for a second visit, imagine what it's going to be like if 24 hours later they get a personalized selfie video from you as the pastor, right? All that's going to do is kind of deepen that relationship, build that relationship equity, that leadership equity. The other thing that it's going to do is you're going to see a lot more of those people come back the following Sunday. And that's one of the hardest things to do, right? We know that the chances of getting someone to join our church increase exponentially if we can get them to come for 2 Sundays in a row, right? So the only thing better than a first-time visitor is a second-time visitor, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. So we're going to build relationship equity with that Monday morning selfie video, but we're also going to have a much higher chance of getting them to come back the following Sunday, right? And by ending it with an invite, ending it with a question, we're leaving it open-ended. We're opening up a loop in their mind. The last thing that you say should be, can you make it, right? So now they feel on the hook to respond, and they either say, yes, we'll be there, and then they just promise the pastor they're coming back to church, or they might say, oh, shoot, we have a soccer tournament next weekend. We can't make it, but I tell you what, we'll be there the following Sunday, right? So super easy, but now you're building a personal connection with every single guest, and it takes you about 30 seconds per video. That's easy. Okay, so we just walked you step by step through a 7-part framework that's going to help you increase your church membership, attract new visitors and new families every single Sunday. But if you would like help actually setting this up, just go to churchgrowthagency.com. We actually have a free video there that you can watch, and we can talk about what it would look like in order to have us just set this entire thing up for you in case you don't want to do it yourself. So go to churchgrowthagency.com. We'll see you soon.